Hello and welcome to UK Disclosure. It's the 31st of January 2018. Well, hasn't time flown? I just thought I'd do a quick video. The video that I want to do is just to look at, there's a bit of pure frustration. I think a lot of people are feeling it at the moment. I watched two videos this evening and I think it was bizarre. They're two different types of video. Yet they seem to encapsulate the annoyance, the irritation, the frustration that I feel at the moment. So one of those videos was Grant Cameron. If you go to White House UFOs, he's really good actually. He brings out some solid information. He spends, all credit to the guy, just all credit. He brings out some great information. He has insiders that can give him information, and he's been dealing with the supposed disclosure of ufology now, at this moment in time. Now, I've been, like I've said previous videos, I've been looking into this. I've been interested for 40 years. You go through that period of time, and how many disclosures do we think we're going to have? Yeah, we're going to have a disclosure. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. Nothing ever happens. You just think, well, something's got to happen one day. So Grant Cameron, he's talking about UFO disclosure, and you've got Tom DeLonge of Blink 182, who's got the project going on with ex people from the CIA, etc. And they released that UFO footage of a pilot tracking a UFO in the air. So we all know why that type of UFO disclosure is coming out. That's nothing to do with the big disclosure. That is basically just a sidestep for the cabal. They're going to release the UFO stuff. They're trying to take attention away from the fact that Trump's taken them all down and the New World Order. So that isn't a true disclosure. But that's part of the frustration. Where's the big disclosure? It's supposed to be happening. We're supposed to get it. Where is it? Nothing seems to be forthcoming. So the way they do their disclosure is they're going to chuck out a bit of information, see how it goes, see how it weighs up with people, see what sort of reaction they get. But the problem you get is every single time you can't track it back to anyone of authority. Now the thing is, in the world that we live in, most of the people who are zombies, Mr. Zombie and Mrs. Zombie, they're sat there watching their program on TV they're watching a program of people sat there watching TV making stupid comments, or they're looking at their phone, texting how many times they farted in the day. And you've got to try to get this, you've got to try to get this message across to them, haven't you? And you've got to find a way of breaking into that programming that these people have just fallen to and just got stuck into. They're in this rut, and you've got to somehow get through to them. So this is a tester. So they stick out this UFO footage. Not a lot happens. No one really takes much notice. Mainstream media do report it, and they actually dealt with it on a serious level without any silly little jokes. But then we all know the mainstream media is controlled by the CIA, and because the cabal, CIA is all part of protecting the cabal, then obviously they're the ones who gave the prompt to the mainstream media. This is what you've got to do. So it's not like the mainstream media waking up and going, we're going to report the truth now. So you have this disclosure. Nobody takes any notice of it. It comes on the news. Everyone goes, oh, that's interesting, then goes back to their phones, whatever. So then what do? So they get the pilot. The pilot comes out on TV and says, hey, I was the guy who was following this. It's totally real. It's true. I was there. I done it. Does anyone take any notice? Nope. And if you looked in the report closely enough, it did actually tell you that they have material from crashed UFOs, from crashed craft. Did anyone notice that? Nope. So that was a major flop, and I think they realised that. And part of the reason as well is because anybody who tries to track it back, they come to a dead end, because the guy who's releasing it is ex-Department of Defense, who supposedly worked on this UFO program for so long. Notice he's an ex. Notice all the people who are doing this disclosures are exes. They're ex this, ex that. And that's so that you're not contributing this evidence to that particular department. So it's quite easy for the government and all the governmental departments to just cut themselves off and say it's nothing to do with us. Now, for all the zombies out there, they trust in their government. They watch the mainstream media, and everything the mainstream media is what their world is about. That's their truth. So if the mainstream media don't deal with it properly, and you try and trace something back, and the authorities are saying it was nothing to do with us, which happened with this UFO video, they tracked it back. The Department of Defense in America said no, we didn't release it. And I think it was the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, said we didn't release it. So all of a sudden, you've got no authority, no major authority, so no one's going to believe it. So that was a big major flop. Grant Cameron here, I'm watching this video and he's saying there's another good drop of information. There's a guy, ex-CIA director, who spoke out, and notice again, X, that's all you ever get. And he's going through this real detailed description, you know, all credit, like I say, brilliant, great. Goes through all this big long description. The video is 26 minutes long, telling you how this guy's linked and how he's telling you the UFO subject is real. He was a CIA director, so therefore evidence is out there. Now, the problem with this is, once again, how am I going to explain that to Mr. and Mrs. Zombie that are sat next to me, you know? They're not going to listen to all that blah, 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 blah. What they need is a good slap around the face. They need something that will shock them into waking up and looking and going, wow. I mean, if you had a UFO landed on the White House lawn, as people always say, or next to the Eye in London, you know, the big wheel sort of thing. I mean, people are going to sit there, they'll see it on TV, and to them, they're just used to watching TV. So it's just like watching a movie, and it's not going to shock them. They're going to look at it, and they're just going to attribute it to things they've seen on the big screen. It's going to be another movie. It's going to be a prop. They're not even going to believe that. So I'm sat here watching this video, and I'm thinking to myself, well, that's no good. I can't tell anyone about that. That's no big disclosure. So, hey, you know, here we go again. I'm thinking to myself, UFO disclosure is supposed to be happening, and I'm not seeing any signs of that at the moment. So we move on to the next video. So the next video was from Lionel Nation, and he's talking about the Trump speech, the speech that he's just done in America, the union speech. And, you know, everyone on Twitter, everyone's all ramped up, and it's like, oh, we're going to release the memo, the stuff that says the FBI are corrupt and they were spying on Trump and they're linked to Clinton and the Russian dossier is false, but they paid for it, and so on and so on and so on. So everyone's getting all ramped up. Is he going to do it at this speech? Well, of course he's not. Of course he's not going to do that, because the speech is about the country, about the people. He's trying to attract people to his way of thinking and to say, let's make America great again. He doesn't want to mix that in with UFOs, New World Order, or whatever. But Lionel makes a brilliant point. He's saying that you may have people who love Trump. You may have the Fox News. You may have people who hate Trump, CNN. Now, you're going to have people on both camps. Now, that's fine. You know, you're always going to have that. The people of Fox News who love Trump, they're always going to love Trump. They're going to hate the Democrats. CNN, they're going to hate Trump. All the Democrats are going to hate the Republicans. Okay? But then you've got the people in the middle. You've got the people who don't give a crap about politics. Okay? And I'm one of those people. Now, what we're actually doing is we're truth seekers. Okay? So we all want our own truth. Now, I mean, your truth. Say, for example, go for a few truths. You know, you might have somebody who is, for example, they're interested in geoengineering because They care about the planet. They care about wildlife, our natural fauna. So they're sick of all the crap being chucked out in the air, destroying our ozone layer and killing all the trees off, and all the diseases that human beings are catching for all the beryllium and aluminium and all the other stuff they're putting in the atmosphere. They're blocking off the sun so we don't get nice sunny days. We just get this constant haze and crap across in the sky. You know, that may be something people say, well, look, I'm sick of that. That's my truth. All I want is the truth on this. You could have people who are into the New World Order. You know, they don't want a one world government. You know, they've been looking at this for years and years and years, and they're thinking, well, you know, God, this stuff's going to come out. You look at all this stuff, you know, Trump's now come in, he's beaten the cabal. This is yet another one of my truths. You know, I'm interested in the New World Order. He's going to kick their asses and such forth and such forth. And okay, fair enough. That's their truth. You may get people who are interested in the secret space program. They're thinking, I love space, I love all the probes that go out there, I love all the talk about the planets, traveling to Mars, you know, looking at all the bits and pieces on the moon, you know, where you see these anomalies, you see anomalies on Mars and how it links to the Earth and the pyramids and these ancient sites. And okay, that's somebody else's, you know, that might be somebody else's truth, and that's all they want. They want that truth. That's the truth that they want to come out of this. You may have somebody else is interested in industrial military complex. They love everything to do with aircraft, performance aircraft, and they may be thinking, you know, TR-3B, I hear so much about this. You see sightings of triangular craft in the sky since what, the 90s, when we had all the big sightings over like Belgium and Britain and France and Germany. And you think, well, I'd love to know what technology we got, because they've obviously kept technology back. You know, you look at NASA. They went to the moon and then they stopped. 45 years since we've been to the moon. Why would you stop? Why would you stop doing that? Surely you would want to advance and you'd want to move on and you would keep doing it. But no, what happened then? They launched all the space shuttles, and what do? They only go to near Earth orbit. And you think, what's going on there then? Well, you know, they've drained all the money out of NASA. They said, well, that's extra money we can stick into the dark projects, can't we, into the black budget, etc. So what they do is they take all that technology underground. They have all the stuff to themselves, all the high-tech stuff, which could be good for our planet, you know, so we don't have to use fossil fuels anymore. They can build all these craft, they can build weapons. Weapons obviously is the ideal thing for them, because you know they want to control the world, they want to keep everyone in fear, and then because you're in fear, you know, oh okay, like, you know, big brother, you look after me. And then what can they do? They can whack loads of surveillance on you. You know, they can get on the internet, have a back door into your computer, which Hewlett Packard and what was it, AT&T and all that set up right back before the internet came out to the public. So there's a back door via your chip, etc., into every computer in the world. The idea they done it in the first place was the original internet was DARPA, and it was just for military and defense purposes. So it wasn't out in the public realm. So then they thought, well, if we release all these computers and we sell them to other countries, if we put a back door in them, then we can spy on all these other countries. So of course they release computers come out to the general public so they can watch us all, etc., etc. So that might be someone else's truth. That might be something that they want to come out into the open. You might simply have people like me, you know, 40 years interested in the subject. All I want is ufology. I want everything to come out on ufology. Right here, for example, the Rendlesham Forest incident, which is basically the British Roswell. The good thing is we have more evidence than this than Roswell. Unfortunately, Roswell was in 1947, so you didn't have the internet, you didn't have email, you didn't have camcorders and digital cameras, etc. So it's harder to get the truth out. It's easier to keep a secret. So to me, this is my truth. This is basically what I want. So how does this all fit together? Okay, so we all have our truths, And this is basically what we're looking at. It's what we want. So we have this situation now where we have Trump. Trump has gone in. He's saying he's going to get rid of the secret societies. He's going to break down the cabal, the New World Order, the military-industrial complex, break down the money system, stop terrorism, because obviously terror and wars, all that does is create fear. So again, everybody wants to rely on Big Brother to protect us, so then they can do whatever they want and control us in the way they want. You've got immigration. So every country has been flooded with immigration and immigrants to basically just break down society, break down your culture, to break down your sovereignty. So we all just become roughly the same. You know, we have no identity whatsoever. Also to spread fear, so that, you know, all the time you're letting in you know, you've got the immigration going on. Unfortunately, you know, the majority of people around the world are good, but you're going to get the bad eggs, aren't you? And the bad eggs, unfortunately, are coming in because there's so many people coming in, you can't screen them. You don't have time to screen them. You get people coming in illegally that aren't even registered, so we don't know who's in the country. So there's always going to be that fear, and they've boosted that fear by creating ISIS. So they created ISIS. The Clintons, the Bushes, the CIA, they created ISIS because they wanted fear, they wanted wars, they wanted everyone to be controlled. So you have that, and then you think to yourself, well, okay, well, Trump doesn't seem to be that popular around the world. Originally, the first impression of Trump was, oh, he's an idiot, he's a bit of a clown. I was the same. I thought, why on earth did the Americans vote the guy in? I've done a 100% U-turn. You know, I see what he's doing for America. Now, when you think about it, like, he's done all this in, what, literally a year. Think of the amount of things he's done. He's making America great. He's bringing industry back in. He's stopping all this money going out to all these countries that they fund. Billions and billions, maybe even trillions, going to like Iran and to Pakistan. And for what? They don't even like America. And what do? They hide terrorists in their own country. They cover them up. The same terrorists that are killing American citizens. So he said, well, enough is enough. We're not going to give them money. They don't like us. It doesn't do us any good. So why don't we spend those trillions on our own people? And good on him. And he had some great things to say about every leader of every country should be about their country. That should be number one on their agenda. And that's so true. And that's so true. So you get caught up in the Trump thing, and then you think, well, okay, well, that's still not enough, because we all want our truths. You're not going to get that from Trump. What Trump is doing is he's being a president. He's making America great. He wants to get the American people on side. He wants to get the world on side. He's not going to talk about UFOs. He's not going to talk about geoengineering. He's not going to talk about the New World Order. He's not going to talk about the moon, Mars, secret space program, nothing. That isn't on his agenda. He is there to be seen and to lead America back to being great again, and for the money to come flooding back into America. And, you know, good on him to get peace, destroy ISIS, destroy terrorism, etc., etc. So for us people who want our truths, we were given Q, because he's not daft. He knows that a lot of the people around the world, they just weren't interested in him. So how do you get people on side? Well, okay, we need to get those people on side. So okay, so we've got Q. So you go and have a look at the Q post. Q is telling us what's going on behind the scenes. Now that's great. For me, that's great. For all of us wanting our truths, that's great. We feel part of something, so we back him up, and we have done. You know, we've stormed Twitter. We've woken a lot of other people up. Everybody's wondering what's going on. We've destabilized the Democrats because they're trying to write letters to Twitter and Facebook, etc., saying, oh, you must shut this down. These people, this isn't people. This is like something going on. This is the Russians. The Russians are like getting their bots to go in, and you know, we're Russian bots now. Well, no, actually, it's just the people are fed up and we're standing up to be heard. Now, the problem is here the picture that I'm seeing, and I think really it happened. You know, I should have asked first of all, are you sick of all this? Have you got to this point, this boiling point, where you think to yourself, do you know what? Especially older people like myself, I've heard so many times about UFO disclosure and it's never happened. And this time I was 100% convinced. And maybe it will still happen. Maybe it will. But I can't see it ever coming out of Trump's mouth. So we're left with Q. Q isn't going to be there forever. Q, until Trump has gained control of the country, until the Democrats are wiped out, the cabal is wiped out, and then Q's probably going to disappear. And then what happens to all our truths? Who's going to come out and give us our truths? Because for us people and our truths, all we want is we've spent all our time looking into these things, knowing, you know, being the outsider, being the person who's joked about, being the person who's made fun of, you know, and you get to this point, you just get sick of it. You know, you get absolutely sick of it. Mr. and Mrs. Zombie, they're not going to believe you unless, like I say, they get a major smack round the face. Now, recently, Q done a post and it made me fume. And I know it made a lot of other people fume. He basically said all this information, you know, the Satanism, the child murders for the satanic cults, etc., you know, the human trafficking, the murders that the Clintons done to keep people quiet, and the FBI collusions, the CIA, the NSA collusions. It's so big and it's so unbelievable that Mr. and Mrs. Zombie are never going to believe it. They're never going to believe it. He said that we were basically going to get 40% of all of this stuff disclosed, if not less. Why? Because the people won't be able to take it. Doesn't that just put us back where we started? If the people can't handle it, so you're not going to tell them, you're going to drip feed it. Isn't that what's happened over all these over all these decades? We've just been drip fed things, and nothing ever happens because the only people who take notice of all these little crumbs, all this stuff that we're drip fed, is us, the truthers. For example, in the UFO arena, all this information all these researchers are coming up with, who's the people who are going to take notice of it? Us. Because we understand. The people, Mr. and Mrs. Zombie, they ain't going to take any notice of it. So we're back to square one. Releasing this information, yeah, okay, we'll pick up on it. But I sort of feel like I want to be a whistleblower. You know, I'm part of this big ufology thing that I've been a part of for my life, my lifetime. And I want to be a whistleblower. I want to get this out to the masses. I want all the masses to know about this so they go, oh my God, wow, yeah. And for once in your life, you can turn around and you can go, told you so. That's all we want. All we want to do is say, told you so. You know, it's just so that we feel vindicated about the things that we've done and said, so we're no longer the outsider, so we don't look stupid. And not only that, but because we want the truth. What right has anybody got to tell you that you can't have the truth? You can't handle it. You can't have the truth. Now, when Q made that post, you'll get lots of people posting saying, well, you know, you got to look at it in the way of, yeah, we don't want chaos and upset and people hanging themselves and whatever. To me, let them hang themselves. You know, if they've been so brainwashed and they will not listen and they will not look and go out and research, let a few people hang themselves if it means that the whole truth comes out, because humanity needs the truth. And we need to change. We need to change the way things have been. We've been lied about our history, and we need that out and in the open. And that's all it is. We just want the truth. You know, so if we're not going to get all the truth, Q's saying there's only so much is going to come out, I just feel like we might as well give up. You know, we might as well just pack our bags and go back to the little closet that we came out of, you know, because that's about the extent of it, isn't it, really? So I think I just wanted to get that frustration out there, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other people out there, you know, just sick and tired. Oh, release the memo, release the memo, release the memo, release the memo. You know, I'm on Twitter and I'm looking, release the memo, release the memo, release the memo. Everybody's saying the same thing. You've got hundreds of different people and they're saying the same thing. It's the same thing over and over again. You go on YouTube and you look at this area, it's the same thing over and over and over again. What happened to the release the memo? We were told the memo was going to be released after the speech. And what does that mean exactly? After the speech. What, 2020? 2025? We haven't heard a thing since. Come on, let's just get this out in the open. I mean, even release the memo, that's just talking about the collusion of the Clintons, the FBI, you know, the fake dossier and how corrupt the FBI are. I know this is a massive subject, and the deep state has all their little tentacles have just spread out so far and wide that it's a massive thing to try and break back down. And I think watching those two videos has made me realise that I can't see that we're ever going to get the truth out, because the only thing I see happening is a stalemate. I think there's only so much Trump and the people around him can do. They're not going to be able to wipe out everything. They're not going to be able to turn the military-industrial complex over and bring it out into the open. That isn't going to happen, because he still needs secrets kept for his country, for the military, so that they can remain the #1 power. So do you really think the military-industrial complex and all the stuff that it's got is going to come out to the public, and all the technologies that we need? No, of course it's not. You know, we're going to sort out terrorism. You know, America's going to be great again. People's going to have money. People's going to have jobs, and everyone will be happy then, won't they? They go about that, you know, go about their little lives, and that's the mass. That's the mass of people. It's going to please the mass, and that's the most important thing. What about the truthers? We're still here going, hello, hello. What about us? We helped you. You know, we brought some of this stuff out in the open. You know, we done the Twitter storm. We done all this for you, and now you're not going to give us what you promised us. So I just wanted to get that frustration out there, and I'm pretty sure there's other people who feel exactly the same way. You've got to that tipping point where you think, no more, no more. I cannot look at this stuff anymore. I'm not going to look at anything now until this bloody memo is released. And then I'm not expecting much from that, because unless the mainstream media are unlocked, they take away the corruptness. Look up Project Mockingbird, as I've said before. It was created in the 60s after Kennedy was assassinated, and also the term conspiracy theory, that's when that was invented by the CIA, to throw that out there so anybody who wanted to know the truth and ask questions, they were called a conspiracy theorist, and they were made out to be mad, and then that would be put to one side. So those people weren't heard, and that term is hung on ever since, because the programming of people has got so sophisticated. You've got all the social media platforms where people are just glued to it, telling you what they ate that day, and like I said, you know, how many times they farted, and you've got your phones, and you've got these fake idols, celebrities. They're nobody. They're not idols. They're not people to worship. You know, there's plenty of people to worship out there. People who do good for the planet. People who want good for people. There's loads of heroes out there, but they're definitely not celebrities. They're definitely not Hollywood stars. So we need to get this world back into order, into some sort of order. People have been programmed so much. And getting back to the point, where Q is saying maybe 40%, maybe less will be released. We need 100%. How are you going to wake up Mr. and Mrs. Zombie? Okay? You've got to give them a bloody good slap round the face, a punch in the stomach, and a kick in the shins. And they've got to go, oh my God, what the hell? Woo! That's what we need to do. That's why I want 100% disclosure. Forget this, oh, it'd be good for the people, it'd be nice, you know, everyone would get along, no one would freak out or whatever. These people aren't going to wake up unless you hit them with something big. You've got to have something like a 9/11. Look at 9/11. That affected the whole of the world. That echoed across the world. Everyone was affected by it. That woke everybody up. But unfortunately, that was planned. 9/11 was a white flag. It was planned because they knew that it would rock the world and no one would dare turn around and say, hang on a minute, that wasn't terrorists, that was a setup. Because they know the people who say that, the mass population aren't going to believe them. And the whole idea of that one, of that white flag, was to get people in control to say, hang on a minute, we've got terrorists. Oh my God, they could, you know, they could bomb us at any time, you know, and then you're in panic every day. Not literally, but you're always on edge, you know, and then and the news is just full of negativity and wars and corruption and politics and the same old pants over and over and over again. And I just feel as though we just go round and round and round in circles when it comes to the truth. Constantly round in circles. Well, anyway, I've got my frustration out there. I went on a little bit longer than I thought that I would. But if you're a truther, for whatever reason, I think you might understand what I've been saying and the point that I've been trying to get across. And all I can say is we've got to be heard. We've got to want 100% disclosure. We've got to push for 100% disclosure. Me personally, I say forget about the people that are saying no, that's not a good idea. It is a good idea. It's the only way the whole of the world is going to wake up. And we need the whole of the world to wake up to the truth and to reality. So that's me, UK disclosure. Next time I'll do a video. I've got a few things planned. Try and look at some British stuff, because like when we were talking about the swamp previously in America, draining the swamp, then I'd like to try and look and see if there's anything going on over here. There's rumours that MI6 are cleaning out a few people, maybe cleaning house. You know, then we've got our own government in the UK are trying to turn Brexit around. You know, you have something called democracy where everyone votes, and it seems to be mirroring the Democrats. You know, you got Hillary Clinton, what is it, a year and a half, 2 years on now, still whinging and flipping, moaning because she lost and blah, 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 blah. And then you've got all the people who wanted to stay in Europe. You know, at the end of the day, if we'd have voted to stay in Europe, then I wouldn't be sat here a year later moaning about it. You've got to get on with it and make the best of what you can. But, you know, our country, our politics are just awful. You know, when your own government is trying to turn a vote around that the people of the country made, it's just, well, it's treasonous. It is treasonous. And then you've got, okay, our lovely Prime Minister, she's a bit spineless, a bit limp, going and doing deals with Europe and giving them more millions of our taxpayers' money and allowing more immigration into the country when, let's be honest, that's the main reason people voted out. It's a silent vote. That's the silent side of the vote you don't hear. But I can guarantee you that the people who voted out mainly voted because they didn't want to be controlled by Europe and because they were fed up with the immigration, the amount of immigration that is just pouring in unchecked. And that's it. It's nothing to do with race, nothing to do with colour. And the people who keep pulling out the race card, well, you can just, you know what you can do, because I don't fall for that anymore. So, we need to clean up Britain as well. So that's hopefully, I want to try and find out some information, see if anything's going on, see if we're clearing anything up, if anything's going to happen. But I don't want to get into political arguments because I can't stand politics. The only reason I learned a little bit about politics was just purely for what's going on in America. I'm not going to talk politics. That's not on my agenda. You know my truth, UFOs and all the other stuff associated with it. So basically, over and out from me. I've talked enough. Thanks, UKdisclosure. Hope everyone's well. Hope you have a great evening, and I'll speak to you next time. Cheers, guys and gals. Bye bye.